I'm back. Sorry I've been gone for so long. Life gets busy and, so I'm sure you've all been thinking a lot about the potential for war. Seen the memes, seen the videos, formed your own opinions. I'd like to maybe state mine and, give my own insights into things. It is my opinion that the conflicts in the Middle East are fueled by, excuse the pun, oil. It's no shock that our initial engagements were about oil, as at the time we were getting 90% of our oil from the Middle East, specifically Saudi Arabia. But why do we carry on now that we have oil sources from Canada and other places and are fracking for oil on our own soil? Well, for one thing, I think that it's because Canada is past its peak. And for another, I think that we're not being told the complete truth about where we're getting our oil. If you didn't already know, oil has a peak. Basically, you strike oil and then production is great, and then it peaks and you have your heyday with it, and then it basically starts to peter out and use up until all that's left is what's deep and under the earth. So fracking is when you take a big machine and you stick it super far into the earth and you suck and force all of the oil up out of the deep inner earth that you're really not supposed to be touching, because it's damaging the planet, it's damaging the environment around it. It costs a hell of a lot of money to do. But it's when you're basically forcing it to continue on when the oil is like, whoa, stop right there, I'm done. Well, if Canada is doing so well, then why are we fracking in our own country? We shouldn't have to, should we? Also, the added expense of the fracking is probably why we're selling the oil that we're getting out of the United States oil banks, whatever you want to call them, instead of actually storing them and hoarding them and using them for our own country. I mean, I'm not saying we're not using some of our own oil, but we're selling a hell of a lot of oil for a country that doesn't really have oil left. So anyways, we used to get like 90% of our oil from the Middle East. Well, now we're not getting as much, but other countries still are, but Saudi Arabia and all them are still doing very well. There's a lot of oil in the Middle East. And I think that they might be in the process of peaking in some areas even, which is good for them, but, inconvenient for us, being that we can't take advantage of that peak. Well, some of the global elites came to money and power through oil, so they want to be taking advantage of that. Without the oil, their wealth, their prosperity, everything they had would crumble. So what do they do when they run out of oil of their own? They take it from other countries in one of two ways. They either do a one world government in which basically everything would be shared and they wouldn't need to worry about trade deals and all that shit, or they do it through war. Since they haven't been able to accomplish doing it through a one world government yet, they're obviously doing it through war. So what does this have to do with the current state of affairs? I mean, Trump obviously isn't part of the global elites. I have a few theories as to why he bombed Iran. The first theory is that he did it because he wanted to get out of impeachment. Now, apparently, back in 1998, I believe it was, Bill Clinton bombed Iraq, or Iran, I forget which. There's a news article screenshot I'm going to post. I think the news article is correct because I fact-checked it on Google. But I cannot be 100% because I did fact-check it on Google, and Google is very biased. However, Bill Clinton bombed the Middle East because he wanted to get out of impeachment. So if Trump knew about that, then it would make sense that he would then turn around and bomb Iran or somewhere in the Middle East, citing the exact same excuses that Bill Clinton did, so that he could get out of impeachment. The second one is that the globalists made a deal with Trump. Now, this one a lot of people are probably going to protest about, but it's my personal belief that he might have made a deal with them. They would guarantee that he would get out of impeachment and even maybe win the next presidency, as long as he bombed someplace that was prominent in this war on oil for them. The third thing that I thought of is maybe he's just really kind of dopey and thought that he was doing a good. And that obviously there would be no consequences. Whatever the case may be, he did it, and there was consequences. Though not exactly what the world expected. As of today, the world goes on. The impeachment carries on, and we're not at war with Iran any more than we ever were. Everything has gone back to normal as if nothing ever happened. The only casualties were Iranian citizens. But what still lurks behind the scenes? Every day more and more people die overseas in wars because we want to live our civilized life of big screen TVs and automobiles. Everything we do is dependent on oil. It was made on machines run by oil, using power created by burning oil. Everything is about oil, and nobody does anything to change it. Granted, nobody can do anything to change it right now, but nobody does anything to try to change it. Oh, electric cars. Where do you think the electricity that you charge it with comes from? Do you think it's magic? No, it's from generators and plants that are run by oil. Basically, you're still using the oil, you just don't see it at the pump. You're not environmentally friendly, you're just ignorant. And to be completely honest, I don't see a way that we will ever transition entirely from oil, which means that society's days are limited. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure the Middle East will have oil well past when Western civilization's oil fields peter out, as I'm sure the elites know. Which is why we are in a war for oil. Which is why World War III will most surely happen in our lifetime. Which is why we should be afraid.